Hi, I'm Miranda Krestovnikoff and this is They Didn't Teach Me That. I've been contacted by a new teacher who's in desperate need of some advice on his big concern, how to make the most of his classroom environment. I've got his plea for help on this MP4 player and I'm going to play it to some experts, including one who recommends tearing down all your wall displays. I'm on my way to meet my first expert, but in the meantime, take a look at the message I received.
Hi, my name's Jamie Parker and I'm working at Newbury Park Primary School in London. I've been working here now for 2 terms and I'd like to have some advice on classroom management and organisation. I've received quite a lot of contrasting opinions about what to actually do with displays. Some people say that we should actually have minimal displays on the wall, while others are saying that we should have lots of individual displays representing all the different curriculum areas that you're actually covering. I have a question regarding a specific situation in the classroom, and it's in the literacy hour. I differentiate for 5 levels of ability, and it's actually ended up that I've got 6 of the liveliest boys in the class sat on the same table. Now, their ability dictates that they should actually be at that table, however they do distract each other and they can cause the general noise level in the class to rise. I was hoping if anybody had any specific strategies or classroom management suggestions that could help me with that.
So the main issues are seating arrangements and wall displays, topics my first expert has had plenty of experience of. To start my quest, I'm going to talk to Tim Benson, head teacher of one of the biggest and most multicultural primary schools in the country.
Well, Miranda, I'd like to show you this room because this room illustrates how the teacher has got the children to make up the displays and mount the displays themselves, so it's all the children's own work.
So, first things first, our teacher Jamie has got some problems in the classroom. He's grouped the pupils in order of ability, but he's got a group of disruptive boys who are disrupting the rest of the classroom as well. What options has he got?
Well, I think you've got to be flexible with your approach to grouping because what works for one particular subject might not work for another. And if you're getting just ability groups, you're likely to put strong personalities together, for example, and that can produce the sort of friction that Jamie's talking about. So maybe a flexible grouping, maybe for literacy or numeracy or for topic work, they might use a different setup. Another thing to try and do is to allow the shyer children to sit next to the more vocal children because that helps with their language development. That's a good technique to try.
Looking at what's on the walls, is it a matter of personal choice from the teacher about what they put on the walls and whether it's sort of a minimalist look or a busy look?
Well, often there's a school policy and head teachers will discuss with their staff which is the best for their school. But a lot of schools take a fairly flexible approach in that not one style suits every child or every teacher. So in this school, for example, you'll see a variety of styles used from very busy to a more minimalist approach, and sometimes a combination of the two in the classroom. In this school we have a lot of children who are learning English as a second or third language. Often the stimulation that a busy classroom like this can give to them is very helpful in them learning English.
And what about resources? What resources are available to teachers to produce displays like this?
The best resource is teachers talking to teachers, and that's why we go to the Teachers' Centre, that's why we go on courses, and that's why we visit other schools so that we can steal ideas from our colleagues. But there are resources. There is lots of educational literature, magazines, papers available, Times Educational Supplement, which gives lots of opportunities and ideas and suggestions for good displays.
Brilliant, thanks very much, Tim. I think you've answered just about all my questions. And what a great classroom environment as well.
Well, thanks for coming to see us.
Well, Tim's advice seemed pretty sound to me, but for my next meeting, I'm on my way up north to a school that's been working with the prestigious Design Council to completely re-evaluate the design of their classrooms. Better get a move on. Displays, I thought that Tim's comments reinforced Jamie's hunch that there are valid points on both sides of the minimal versus busy debate, but the school I'm on my way to has come down very clearly on one side of the argument. Hi. David?
I'm David, yeah.
And Sean?
I'm Sean from the Design
We
Council.
spoke on the phone, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent. Nice to meet you both. Now, what I wanted to focus on is this campaign that the Design Council have launched called The Learning Environment, with reference to our teacher, Jamie. Now, what sort of ideas can you give him for the design of his classroom?
Yes, well, the first thing to remember is that 80-something% of everything in a classroom can actually be physically moved or replaced. So there's an awful lot of opportunity there to do things differently. One of the things that designers do is they ask what appear to be quite naive questions, but they're quite fundamental ones. And I remember a time when we were together and I asked you, just why do you have all this display material on the walls?
Because there is nothing on the walls here. There's no artwork, there's no student material or anything like that. Now, why have you taken that down?
I think we're fairly typical of any school, Ofsted-led, and we were highly of the opinion that we needed attractive, bright environments containing lots of pupils' work to provide stimulating environments that children can learn in. When we got involved in the project, our focus was how we can use the environment to improve concentration. So one of the first things we did was ask students, what distracts you? What is distracting? And we were amazed to find out that one of the major distractions in classrooms was displays.
Right, so actually less is more at the end of the day, because
Yes.
this feels very minimalistic.
Well, the response from the students is that it's calm, it looks ordered, it's an environment which helps them to be ordered themselves and focuses them. And if there is anything that needs to be displayed that's appropriate to that particular lesson, then as soon as you put it up on the walls, it's immediately noticed.
What's really interesting about your school is that you've been working with the students to identify a better way of teaching. And so the classroom might look like this at the end of a summer term. And then because of suggestions that were made over the summer, over the holidays, you can improve it. The children come back, they see that they've been part of that process and can feel a bit more ownership of school. And the very fact that children are consulted often leads to all sorts of goodwill, great suggestions. The them and us culture gets dissolved.
One of the main impacts was that the effect on the teacher. That in teacher training it's very easy to fall into the trap of you are put into a box with a class and you deliver your lesson in that box regardless of what the box is. What we've found through the project is that it's much more than that, and the effect that temperature, lighting levels, quality of air, access to water, all the environmental factors can have on student learning is enormous. So the mere fact that teachers are taking control of their own environment and using that as another tool to aid learning has been enormous in its impact.
Great, that's really good food for thought and very useful stuff for me to feed back to my teacher, Jamie. So thanks a lot. See you then.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, it was definitely worth a visit here to Alder Grange, but I do feel like I'm getting conflicting answers to Jamie's questions about displays. I'd like to get him a definitive answer, but with a drive to London ahead of me, I don't have time for another stop off, but I do have time for a quick phone call. The guy I'm going to call is called Ian Jordan, and he's actually an optician, strangely enough. But bear with me on this one, because I think he might be able to help us out.
Hello?
Hi Ian, it's Miranda from Teachers TV.
Hi.
Hi there. Now I know you're an optician by training, but how did you start to get involved with classroom design?
Well, about 15 years ago, I was asked by the Professional Association of Opticians to look at the effects of coloured lenses in dyslexia and dyspraxia. It soon became obvious that the whole visual environment had an effect on performance.
So based on your research, what would be the ideal way to design a classroom?
Well, unfortunately, there's no ideal way. The problem about it is the ideal way for a person with special needs is the precise opposite to the child who hasn't got special needs. For instance, a child without special needs will want as much visual stimulus as possible. The child with special needs will often want as little visual stimulus as possible.
Now, is there any general advice that it's possible for you to give?
The child needs to see the teacher when they're talking, so that all children should be facing the teacher. That's the first thing. The second thing is look at the lighting environment in particular. It's often a good idea to turn the lights off rather than on. In special needs in particular, it's been now shown conclusively that the brain can often go to a pre-sleep stage under school lighting conditions. So you must take that into account. And I'd be very suspicious of a child who is not concentrating, whether it's the visual environment that's actually causing the problem.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks a lot, Ian.
No problem at all.
Bye-bye. Well, to be honest, I hadn't expected this to be such a controversial topic. There's so much theory and research around that I've barely begun to scratch the surface of. But it's time to feed back to Jamie, so fingers crossed he's going to find this useful. Well, I'm here at Newbury Park School. I've got all the interviews stored on this, and with a bit of luck, Jamie should be waiting for me inside. While Jamie watches that, let's remind ourselves of where my journey's taken me on this topic. Firstly, I visited Tim Benson. He said Jamie could be taking the weight off himself by getting the kids involved in the displays, and he seemed to favour lots of vibrant displays on the walls. That contrasted with my next experts from the Design Council and Alder Grange School, and they recommended minimal displays and said Jamie should bear in mind that almost everything in his room can be moved around or removed entirely. They also reiterated Tim's point that involving pupils can lead to a myriad of positive results. Finally, I spoke to optician Ian Jordan, who claimed that too much visual stimulus can be very damaging for pupils with specific learning difficulties, and also recommended a seating plan that has all the pupils facing the teacher. I think Jamie's just about finished. Let's see what he thought. So how was that? Was that useful information, or did we open up a bit of a can of worms there?
Very useful information, yeah. I was very pleased with the responses there. It was very interesting to see the classroom where there was actually nothing on the walls. I used to work as an assistant psychologist with children with learning disabilities and challenging behaviour, and we had very similar classroom environments there as well. However, I don't think that's going to really work for my kids here in London. I think they need a little bit more on the walls, and I haven't really got any specific sensory deficits or special educational needs where a minimalistic approach will work for them.
So you're going to go for the full-on stuff everywhere?
I think I'm going to sort of mix it up a little bit, have minimalistic displays and yet others with a lot of information on there as well, to sort of try and combine them both and see how that goes.
Now, you had a bit of a problem with a group of children that were sitting together that were being disruptive. Have you got any ideas about how to cope with that situation now?
The head teacher had a good point of view about changing it around for the different subjects. That's something I actually do where with numeracy they're differentiated in a different way. In literacy they're differentiated in a different way. The way it's ended up is with 6 of the boys, the liveliest ones ending up at the same table. And so it's possibly maybe reorganising the environment a little bit, so I split that table up. I have to look at the logistics of that, but it's something I'm going to try, I think.
Well, I'm glad it was useful. Really nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. You too.
Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Thank you.
Bye. Hopefully, Jamie will now be able to make better use of his classroom. If you want to watch this programme on your own MP4 player, you'll be able to download it as a podcast at the end of the series from the Teachers TV website. But if you can't wait until then, don't forget you can now watch and download the programme via broadband. Next time, I'll be sorting out the problems of another new teacher, but until then, goodbye.